the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committees' involvement in the 2020 Sport Integrity Week being put on by SIGA, the Sport Integrity Global Alliance, of which CANOC, the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committee, is a member. And we have a memorandum of understanding signed by former CANOC President Steve Stout of Barbados. Therefore, for us, participating and being involved in this historic 2020 Sport Integrity Week event is extremely important. Why is it historic? Why is it important? Well, it can be summed up in a simple way. COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has turned the entire world upside down. Sport has been no exception. COVID-19 has accelerated the progress and the change and the transformation in many ways, digital being one of them. And so, this year, Sport Integrity Week is entirely virtual, is entirely digital. And in that sense, it is about turning a lemon into a lemonade, because this year, there is no limit in terms of travel. We can all get digital and be part of Sport Integrity Week. There are a couple of things that are extremely important for the Caribbean sport and Olympic movement, and they begin with this simple fact: vulnerability. The Caribbean, being made up of essentially small island states, are extremely vulnerable to the ravages, the changes, the turmoil, the economic and public health devastation that COVID-19 has given the world. Sport, therefore, has been shut down in the main, globally, and in the Caribbean. And that shutting down of sport, the emphasis to protect and save lives, has had a profound and deep impact on sport in the Caribbean. Because of the impact of COVID-19, there's a very real threat and risk to the financial sustainability and stability of sport. There's a very real threat to the existence of some of our sport organizations as they currently exist. Our athletes across the spectrum, including those who are preparing for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, which has now been rescheduled for the first time in the history of the Olympic movement. The athletes preparing from the Caribbean face two challenges. They face an economic and financial challenge. They face the challenge of space and place to train, especially those who are based at home here in the Caribbean. They are threatened not just by the shutting down, understandably so, by most sporting facilities. As I was saying, the economic risk. In many jurisdictions, the measures that are being taken in terms of lockdown, in terms of wear a mask, not gathering, not congregating, those present significant obstacles to the preparation for Tokyo 2020. For most of our Caribbean clubs, sport organizations, Olympic and otherwise, operating in this environment is now significantly challenged. How can the Caribbean continue to progress, to survive, and more important, to ensure issues and principles such as good governance, safeguarding our athletes, ensuring that there is equality and non-discrimination in sport and the Olympic movement here in the Caribbean? Those have all become a significant challenge. It's not easy. It's not easy in the face of COVID-19 pandemic challenges, where saving lives is the absolute priority at this point in time, to operate as if it is business as usual. So, the reality of this Sport Integrity Week, in terms of continuing to raise awareness, to hear insightful thought leaders from across the globe share ideas, address issues, is extremely important for the Caribbean and CANOC in terms of inspiring in a very real way the sport administrators, the sport leaders, and the athletes, coaches, officials, fans, supporters, the entire sport and Olympic ecosystem here in the Caribbean. How do we address and continue to address issues related to children, youth, and young people in sport, protecting them against sexual harassment, sexual abuse? How do we protect women? How do we continue to ensure, from a governance perspective, women and females and girls in sport here in the Caribbean aren't adversely affected to the point where they turn away from sport? Because we all have to realize that the emphasis is so much on public health concern, the emphasis is so much on saving lives, that with sport in the main, in many of the Caribbean countries now on the back burner, there is a very real possibility that some people, many talented athletes, officials and coaches and administrators may never return to sport, because life and COVID-19 and recovering economically, socially, and health-wise from COVID-19 may become an absolute priority. So it is in that context the Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committee is deeply committed to being part of, participating, ensuring that our stakeholders are part of Sport Integrity Week 2020. So, in closing, I would like to congratulate SIGA, the organizers of Sport Integrity Week, for an absolutely fantastic job and effort. And I would like to remind and commend the entire Caribbean sport and Olympic movement and stakeholders to take part actively in Sport Integrity Week. Be part of the conversation. Have the conversation. Let your voices be heard, whether the issue be racism, racial discrimination, and racial inequalities, and how do we address it? How important is Black Lives Matter to sport and to international federations addressing the issue? We must become comfortable with the uncomfortable conversation. Thank you very much.